Ladies and gentlemen, good evening once again. Good evening to all of you. You are welcome here on the Éveil d'être Conscience platform. In international news, things were very heated at the UN. As you know, on this June 20th, 2025, the UN Security Council convened urgently to make immediate decisions regarding the situation in Israel. As you know, for a long time now, since June 13th, Israel began bombing Iran. And they said nothing. Sorry. It's only now when Iran started hitting back hard that they decided to call an emergency meeting. During this emergency meeting, things really got heated. Yes, the Israeli representative and the Iranian representative really argued at the UN Security Council. And in the end, the UN was forced to issue a very serious alert. In this video conference, of course, that's what we're going to talk about. Before we continue, as you know, please share the video conference as much as possible in all the groups you can. Give it lots of likes and don't forget to leave a comment with your thoughts. Let's dive deep. Yes, deep down. What must already be said is that at the UN, they say that the time for rhetoric is over. It is no longer a question of talking. Action is needed now because the confrontation is taking a new turn. It's taking a new turn. With Benjamin Netanyahu, who keeps being stubborn. Israel, which has made a promise to always respond as long as, I said Israel, sorry. Iran, which has promised to always respond as long as Israel strikes. So the situation is extremely tense. But what is the UN's biggest concern? It's Iran's nuclear facilities. One way or another, these facilities are going to be hit. Even those that are not completely underground are going to be hit. Some have already started to be hit, but there haven't been any radioactive leaks yet. And if there were to be a radioactive leak, it would dangerously affect the entire region. The entire region. These are extremely dangerous facilities. You don't play around with them. And that's what Israel wants to launch missiles, to bomb them, to, as they say, destroy them. And seeing Iran's determination at the UN Security Council, the Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency once again spoke out. He spoke out. He issued a warning. On behalf of the UN, the alert has been raised. He says this. He says, yes, there have been strikes on both sides. He says, but it is the targeting of nuclear facilities that most alarms the United Nations. So, this man named Rafael Grossi, Director General of the International Atomic Energy Agency, reported a significant deterioration in nuclear safety and security in Iran. A significant deterioration. Although it has not yet led to any radiological releases affecting the public, he says there is a risk that this could happen. He warned against a possible strike on the Bushehr nuclear power plant. He says that this plant must not be struck. Yes. He says that such a strike could cause a major release of radioactivity. Nuclear facilities and materials must not be shrouded in the fog of war. Here is what he says. It's still clear that even if they don't manage to put a definitive end to Iran's nuclear program, what they're doing now, if they try to strike, even just at the surface it will lead to what they call a radiological release, radiological emissions. And that will affect the public, the population. And it's only this element that Netanyahu wants to use to finally claim that he has succeeded. But if he does it, Iran will not forgive. Iran will now quickly assemble nuclear weapons, nuclear bombs to target Israel. The UN is very worried. The UN is very, very worried. But once again, we know that the UN is an institution that is not accountable. It is an institution that acts according to the will and moods of Western leaders. So, will the UN's warning fall on deaf ears with Netanyahu? Since the director of the IAEA says that these facilities should not be struck, and Netanyahu says that these are precisely the facilities he is targeting and that he will not stop. Even the United States of America, if they were to enter the conflict, their main objective would be to strike these facilities. So they are going to do it, they are going to strike, that's clear. And Iran is already ready. In any case, for now, Iran has announced that they have made sure to put all all the tools that allow them to enrich uranium, to enrich, in any case, the product, the nuclear material. They've secured everything. They have transferred it elsewhere. So that means that they can do it. The impact won't be too severe. But if they go ahead with a strike on this facility, Iran will automatically be forced to escalate the conflict to another level. And Iran is truly determined. So, a statement from the UN says this: non-proliferation is essential to the security of us all. The non-proliferation treaty is a cornerstone of international security. Iran must comply with it. These are the words of the UN Secretary General. But Iran must comply with it. But is bombing Iran really going to make Iran comply? That's it. So the UN is sounding the alarm. But this warning, which should be directed at Netanyahu, will be useless. Because for previous actions Netanyahu has taken in terms of crimes against humanity and others, we know that the International Criminal Court had issued an arrest warrant for Netanyahu. The United States, who are members of the International Criminal Court, refused to arrest him. On the contrary, they were the ones who invited him. Right after Donald Trump was elected, Netanyahu came and they rolled out the red carpet for him. So, it's a false alarm. In any case, it's a warning that won't work. All the more so since the UN should normally be condemning Israel. Yes, we can understand the issue, proliferation. Non-proliferation is essential for all of us. Yes. But is it through violence that we are going to stop Iran? The answer is no. And so, here is what the UN says. On the contrary, the UN is blaming Iran. This is what will make the situation even worse. And finally, as we mentioned, on the Security Council side, the two representatives from each respective country spoke. So the Iranian representative, Mohammed Said Evrani, described the Israeli strikes on its nuclear facilities as a serious violation of the non-proliferation regime. Iran said that this was not an accident, but rather deliberate war crimes committed by Israel. And so Iran demanded a strong condemnation of the illegal Israeli use of force, reminding that the targeted sites were under the supervision of the International Atomic Energy Agency. So here is the statement made by the Iranian representative. Now, Israel's ambassador, Danny Danon, immediately responded by describing these strikes as a last resort in the face of the Iranian threat. He said this. He said, there is no greater threat to peace than a nuclear Iran. So here is what he said as he rejected the accusations of strikes. So things were heating up. They exchanged words. In the end, for now, there is no solution yet. So ladies and gentlemen, that was the top story in the news. I'll be back with more updates in just a moment. This was the voice of your one and only Samurai.